Overly aggressive. With the bodies that he
I'd like to
does.
call to order this meeting of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency of June 18th, 2024. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes of our May 15th, 2024 board meeting.
Motion.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Any discussion? Let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Coming to the part of our agenda where we have an opportunity for the public to comment on anything concerning the agency. If you're interested in speaking, please state your name and address for the record and leave your, or keep your comments to a maximum of 5 minutes.
You'll have to tune in at 6 o'clock to see what happens.
That's good.
I think it- we can call this session to a close.
Thank you for the
Executive-
comedic relief, Jim.
Executive Director report. Stacy.
All right, a few things I want to update the board on. First, thank you all for remembering we were meeting on Tuesday. So it's kind of thrown my week off. It's a day ahead, but the project updates. There was recently a groundbreaking for the 200 Court Street project in the city of Binghamton. That was attended by Homes and Community Renewal. That is one of the first supportive housing projects we've provided benefit to, so we are interested in seeing that move forward. Two projects we've approved benefits for in the last 6 months include Homesteads on Grand and Johnson City, Regan Developments Project, and VE Properties, that's Town and Country in the city of Binghamton, are both in final discussions on closing their tax credit awards with New York State Homes and Community Renewal. We expect those to be completed and we by, I would say, fall, and that we expect to close both of those projects in the, I will say loosely, October timeframe, which should also assist in meeting our budget for our leasebacks in 2024. We are hoping and in regular communication with the Crowley Lofts project, which we are hoping closes soon. I will note that the 1-year mark for that project is October of this year. So should things not move forward, we will keep the board apprised. One North Depot is a project that we've been in regular communication with as well. I have learned recently that there may be new ownership. I am not at liberty to say who that is, but I could say it is a developer with a strong record for doing housing projects, and namely here in this community. So we are in regular communications on that. That being said, however, there is we've made the current owner aware there is no pilot benefit on this project, and all outstanding payments need to be paid. So I'll keep you apprised on that one.
So there can't technically be a new owner yet, but there's a new owner in the.
There is a new owner in discussions and serious discussions. They are a very strong developer, and we're hopeful that that will come to fruition. We do have to, we would have to sign off ultimately on any transfer.
Deed can't transfer
Well,
without the tax.
we
being
wouldn't
paid.
have to sign up on a transfer. We would if they want to assume the pilot.
Right, which
Yeah.
we would.
But how much
we
is
would
payment
start
of the
over.
former?
But
Can he sell the property
we-
without
he
satisfying
can't
those
because
taxes?
we have a lease.
Right.
Right.
We have a lease and they'll want to release.
So similar to when the canopy pilot ended, all outstanding payments have to be made before the property ends up.
So if indeed that property did transfer, the new owner has a lease obligation to pay those back.
It wouldn't transfer with the lease, the memorandums of lease recorded. It will not transfer unless they're released.
Okay, thank you.
Is this market rate housing, I assume, that they're looking at?
To be determined. Yes, that I'm not 100%
Well,
sure.
student housing, they would,
No, it would not be student.
Okay.
Whether it's market or affordable, I think is to be
okay.
determined, but it would be housing.
Okay.
But again, more to come on that. Some updates on the Broome Tech Park. We'll be hosting our first webinar on June 25th at 6 p.m. You should all have this. You can scan and register right on this little flyer. We will be joined by members of our project team. The goal of this webinar is to outline what the state environmental quality review and generic environmental impact statement or process will cover and what to expect from our office over the next year. We'll also introduce, as I said, some members of the project team and talk about how what we're doing now, Seeker and GAS, how it informs the ultimate design of what the park could look like. I have also met with superintendents of both Maine Endwell and Johnson City Schools to provide an overview of the project. It was a very productive discussion, both very interested in participating in ways that they can. I've requested use of their space for public meetings as we begin a much more much more active public engagement process. We are planning our first open house on August 6th. That will likely be at Johnson City High School. The goal of that one is to introduce some design concepts of some features that we may want to include at the park and just sort of elicit an opportunity for reaction. It's almost like a charrette process where the community would be able to come in, look at different features that could be incorporated into the park and comment on those. And we'll also have our team available to answer any questions. We will begin our first formal scoping, which is a formal meeting we have to have as part of Seeker in September. The full public engagement calendar will be released after the webinar next week. We'll make sure all the board has that as well. We'll be posting that on broomtechpark.com. Relationship to, in regards to our real estate acquisitions, we are working on finalizing closing documents with the Della Penna properties, and we're currently doing a boundary survey. As you know, we have an option for the Saraceno properties. We're doing a boundary survey there. We had several of you had the opportunity to meet with Bill Flynn from Harris Beach and representatives from Capital Energy Partners, who will be managing the energy development component of this project. When they were in town, we did take the opportunity to have a meeting with NICEAG, which I think is very important that we do the energy development early. We have right now, I get a loose target of building out over a 10-year period of a 100 megawatt campus. To do that, we really need to start the planning now. So it was a very productive meeting with NICEAG, and we'll be in continued conversations with them. One thing that we did talk about was anytime you're looking to site a facility or a parcel with more than 10 megawatts, you have to complete a New York State Independent System Operators study, which can be costly. So we are planning, working with our team to plan a meeting with Kevin Lanahan, who's the director of the New York State Independent System Operator, to see how we can complete this study, not just for this park, but for other strategic sites in our community. Strategic meetings that we've had over the last several weeks. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to spend time with Colleen Deacon from the governor's office. She manages basically all of upstate and oversees all of the regional offices that comprise upstate. It's a very great resource for us. We were able to take her over to where the tech park location is. We took her up to the airport to show her the work in progress at the airport with the state funds they received. Also had a meeting with Huron, with Chris Pelto at Huron, to talk about how to address, the modernization and ultimately long-term goals for that facility. We also had a similar meeting a week prior with Jeff Januszewski from Empire State Development Strategic Business Division and a number of his team. We toured them through some of the Restore New York projects who have been awarded and those that are seeking funding in this next round. And we took him over to our Fast New York site, 600 Main. So a good productive meeting there. A few other things. I will be attending SemiCon West for the first time with Team New York. That will be in San Francisco, July 8th through 11th. This will be a great opportunity to meet with supply chain companies, specifically in the semiconductor space. So we will bring a lot of materials and actively marketing our 600 Main Street site. Today and tomorrow, tomorrow I will be touring, Natalie and I will be meeting with our colleagues from Mohawk Valley Edge. in the Rome, New York area will be touring Marcy Nano Center and Griffiths Business Center to just learn, take best practices, learn from our colleagues on what they've been able to accomplish up there. Marcy Nano is where Wolfspeed has a front end fab, and also where Danfoss, which is packaging for semiconductors, is located. And then lastly, I just want to say congratulations to Meg Lucas and Stacy Gukas, who are official graduates of the New York State Economic Development Council's Basic 101 course. We send all our staff through that course. It's a very great way to learn, to get the foundational knowledge on what we do here. And they spent the week in Albany last week, and we're very, very, very happy to have them on board. Yes. So, how's that? How's that?
So what are you doing with your spare time?
So,
Questions for Stacy?
Stacy, I have a question.
Yeah.
A while back, this came up over the weekend, I think we're joining with the city and the school district on a Rod Serling,
yes.
project.
Mhm.
Is that
No,
going
that's
anywhere?
no, it is, so we've completed, and I will provide an update to the board. Thank you for that reminder. We did complete sort of a first phase of what could be done at that for the development of a Rod Serling Center. What we're doing now is looking at, we've had some conversations at the state level is, is this something they would fund? There is definitely interest in funding that. What we're looking at now is could we, how do I say it? Could we take parts of that and look at some existing resources, other facilities in the community that could house parts of that, if that makes sense? So a work in progress.
Okay.
We haven't, it is not dead. It's still moving forward. We're just looking at the funding piece because the price tag was very high for something like this. And we're just trying to see if this is something that would make sense financially, because the operations of these kind of facilities are not.
Who's got the lead on the project?
We're working very closely with, we're the contract agency with the consulting team.
Okay.
They've completed their work. So now we're taking what they've created and saying, where do we
Okay.
where do we
So
go
we're
from
the point
here?
person for it local?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you have anybody that's inquiring, I mean, we're working with the Sterling family, we're working with the Rod Serling Foundation, we're working with Assemblywoman Donald Pardo's office, who has a strong interest in this. We're having conversations with the county and the city
You don't have
as
any
well on,
preliminary budget what the whole thing would cost?
I can send that out.
Okay, I'm just curious what you think it would cost. to do it the way you want to
The
do it.
proposal the consultants provided was substantial in the 200 to 300 million, so that's. That's why we're taking, that's why we're. Right. So that's why we're taking the,
small fab?
that's why we're taking the component parts
Oh
and,
my God.
and
You
looking at
danced
it.
around that for a little bit.
No, just,
No,
Wow.
That's not gonna.
So
oh my
that's,
God. Well, I was just curious what they think they were doing.
that's why they are,
Like that-
yeah.
That ride at Disney World didn't cost that. Tower of Terror, that didn't cost 200 million that they built. The Twilight.
So as
Zone.
you- yeah.
Oh my God.
So as you can see, that's why we're taking component parts of this.
What, I mean, what are
See,
they thinking?
what?
Did they, wow, I'm not going too deep. That's just,
I-
what's good for. Wow.
But there is, I could say there is some,
Well, I was wondering why you were saying, could we do something
Parties,
smaller? But
yes,
yeah, hopefully.
yeah. So there are some interested parties in looking at component parts of this and integrating it into existing facilities.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking at now. We're kind of breaking that out into.
So it's not dead, but
It's not dead, but it's,
Solution.
It's last rites or.
yeah.
Priest. All right, that was interesting. Thank you. That was a good update.
Any other questions for Stacy?
No,
I see.
Right, be careful what you ask.
Just, I see if their schematics were for what they were planning on building, for Lord, oh my God.
Highly interactive,
Wow.
expensive.
I trust you've all had a chance to look at the financial report.
Wow.
May 31st, are there any questions for Stacy? Moving onward, I take it you've looked at the loan activity reports as of May 31st. Any questions for Natalie?
Any updates on our friend at Antonio's?
No, they did find another address for him, so
Yes.
letters were mailed. But nothing.
Thank you, Natalie. Moving on to new business, resolution accepting an application from Phoenix Endicott Industrial Investors LLC and authorizing a New York State and local sales and use tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $98,376 for a term not to exceed 12 months, consistent with the policies of the agency in connection with the demolition of a block of buildings located at 1701 North Street in the village of Endicott, town of Union, county of Broome, and state of New York, and the installation of new electrical and mechanical services and facilities to accommodate building removals. Mayor, I take it this went through governance.
It did go for the governance committee. We move it forward as a motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Dan. Any discussion or questions for Stacy? Let's have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item number 7, resolution appointing Kalia Bauda.
Kelly.
Kelly.
Bauda.
Okay.
Bauda.
Bauda. All right. Director of Business Services for the Ithaca Area Economic Development Corporation to the Southern Tier East Economic Development Revolving Loan Program, the STEED program, as a STEED Advisory Loan Committee member. Natalie?
Thank you, John. Heather McDaniel, President of Ithaca Area Development, IAD, currently sits on the STEED Loan Committee, but she had asked that Kelly Bauda from her office replace her. Kelly has an extensive background in commercial lending, and she does that for IAED. So just asking that she replace her and put Kelly on the board. I did speak with Dan, as he's the chairman of the loan committee, and he is in favor of this change.
Any questions for Natalie or Dan? Looking for a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Mike and Elaine. Any further discussion? Let's have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Resolution authorizing the agency to enter into an agreement with Brown and Weinrob Advisors LLC for a legislative and regulatory representation from June 20th, 2024 through and including June 19th, 2025. Mayor, this came through governance.
It did. We move it forward as a motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Mike? Okay, any discussion or questions for Stacy? I think you were all here when she explained the purpose and the reasoning for all of this. With that in mind, let's have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Item number 9, resolution extending time to complete the scoping process pursuant to seeker or generic environmental impact statement.
Okay, so should have a full resolution in your folders, the language on the request. Essentially, what we're requesting is just to add an additional 30 days to the scoping period. In which we have to do our initial draft scoping document that will come to the board. So when completing the state environmental quality review, the regulations require that a draft scope be prepared, submitted to the public for comment, and accepted by the IDA as complete. That final scope can be provided to the IDA, the involved agencies, within 60 days of the draft scope being received by the IDA. The seeker regulation states that at any time periods required, these may be extended by mutual agreements between the project sponsor, that is us, and the lead agency, with notice to all other, which is us as well, with notice to all other agencies. So we are simply requesting an additional, to expand that period from 60 to 90 days. The reason being, we essentially received our lead agency in May 1, and to be quite frank, we are working on accommodating a lot of different calendars during the summer months. So we are requesting an additional 30 days so that we can prepare all of the documents for our, as I mentioned, our scoping session, which will be in September. So the plan would be to just add that time to allow for our scoping session. We're planning to hold that in September. Once you do your initial scoping, there's a 30-day comment period. And then the board would, we would bring to the board what we believe to be the final scoping that we'll review during seeker. So a lot of it's just aligning the calendar, to be quite honest. So
Does 30 days do it?
yes, we did. We had a very extensive conversation as to if 30 days was enough, and we felt that it would be sufficient. So, and as lead agency, we have discretion to extend where needed.
Any questions for Stacy? Looking for a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second? Thank you, Elaine. Any further discussion? Let's have a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Okay, and just to note, a copy of this will be sent to all involved agencies and as well will be posted on broomtechpark.com under seeker resources.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Item number 10, resolution authorizing the agency to purchase 51.96 plus or minus acres of land located at 1525 County Airport Road in the town of Union, County of Broome, and state of New York, subject to a reservation of subsurface mineral rights pursuant to the terms of the agreement of sale and such other terms and conditions as agency council shall deem appropriate. Mayor,
Yeah, we move it forward as a motion to approve, and we just requested that the per acre price of 6,500 and the total cost for 337,740 is in the final minutes when it's final result.
Yeah, I'd recommend that it be, the estimated total, because obviously it's gonna,
Plus or minus, sure.
it's gonna depend on how many acres. We're gonna get it surveyed.
So for an estimated, well, the per price per acre will be this, will stay the same.
65.
But an estimated total cost of 337,740. Okay.
okay, so with the change in mind, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Discussion. Questions? Let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on to number 11. Resolution accepting an application from Mar Inc. for a New York State and local sales and use tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $66,880 for a term not to exceed 12 months, consistent with the policies of the agency in connection with the acquisition, construction, expansion, renovation, and equipping of a manufacturing facility located at 22 Charles Street in the city of Binghamton, Broome County, New York. Mayor,
Governance Committee moves it forward as a motion to approve.
thank you, Mayor. Is there a second?
Okay.
Thank you, Mike. Discussion.
No, we'll just add on that, we think it's a dynamic project for the first ward of the city of Binghamton and hope that this is the beginning of many phases. And they'll expand.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Let's have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Thank you, Dan. Is there a second? Thank you, Jim. Let's go into executive session.